Okay, this is 5.1, rate of change and slope. Our rate of change is our slope, and we know our slope by m, so we don't have to write it out every time. We take the shortcut of using m. When we go to the graph, we use rise over run to find our slope or use our slope to create the line. And we know that our slope is the rate of change in y over the change in x. And when we have 2 points, we can find our slope by using the formula y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And so those are the ones you're going to be using in this assignment. So whenever you start an assignment, you make sure you look at the instructions to see what exactly are they asking. So determine whether each rate of change is constant. If it is, find the rate of change and explain what it represents. So first we need to determine whether it's a constant rate of change. So we're going to say yes or no. And then if it is, it does have a constant rate of change, we need to find it. And then we have to explain what it represents. So we're going to focus in here on number 1, the hockey team's offense. And we're dealing with their games and their goals. And we see in one game they had 2 goals, 2 games they had 4 goals, 3 games where they had 6 goals. And so if we start with the first game, we know that if we take 2 times 1, we get 2 for an answer. So we try the 2 in the second one. 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, and we can see we have a constant rate of change. So yes, we have a constant rate of change when we multiply by 2 to each of the games. We can get the goals. So our rate of change is 2. And we need to explain what it represents. And it says we are dealing with goals per game. In the next section it says find the slope of each line. So when we go to our formulas, rise over run, we're dealing with the graph. So we need to find the rise over the run. And so we find 2 points that are on the line. And here's one we can identify. When x is 0, y is 1. Another one we can identify is when x is 1, y is 3. So if I can identify what they are, it's easier to find the rise over the run. So I'm going to start on the first point, and I count my run. I have 1. I moved 1, and I'm lined up with the point. If I go up 2, I'm right back on the line. So I have 2 divided by 1, which is 2. So my slope for this graph is 2. In the next section, we have to find the slope of the line that passes through each pair of points. So now that I'm given 2 points, I'm going to use my formula to find the slope, because it said to find the slope. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So there's my x and my y, x and y, and I'm going to label this one 2 and label that 1 so I can put them in the formula. So x goes on the bottom, y goes on the top, and we have to subtract the other point. And this one's pretty easy because it's 0. So 1 minus 0 is 1, 2 minus 0 is 2, so my slope is 1/2. in the last section on the front of this page, it says find the slope of each line. And so what we're going to go back and do is use rise over run, just like we did before. So they just have us reviewing a little bit. On the back side of the worksheet, we have, it says without graphing, tell whether the slope of the line that models each situation is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Then find the slope. So we have two things we need to answer here. So we have to decide is our graph is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. The cost of the tickets to an amusement park is $19.50 for one ticket and $78 for 4 tickets. If I take the $78 and divide by 4 in the calculator, I get $19.50. So I know that my rate is the same. And at 1, I'm at $19.50. At 4, I'm at $78. And that's a positive change. My numbers are going up. And at what rate is that? They keep changing at $19.50. So there's my two answers. In the next section, it tells us to state the independent variable and the dependent variable in each situation. Then find the rate of change. So I have 3 things I have to answer. I have to find out who's in control, who's depending, and what kind of change we're making. Number 20, Shelley delivered 12 newspapers after 20 minutes and 36 papers after 60 minutes. So who is in control? Our independent is time. It's easy for us to choose minutes, but minutes is representing the time. It's a unit of time, and that's what's in control. And who's depending on that? Dependent. What's dependent on it? Okay, that's the number of papers delivered. And then the rate of change. So we take our dependent and we say per independent. So it's the number of papers per minute. That's our rate of change. In the next section, it just says to find the slope. So they're giving us 2 points again, so we're going to pull in our formula and use it just like we did in the front. And I'm not going to show that because you can rewind back to the front and are at the beginning and watch the instructions again if you need to. Number 29 and 30, I'm going to let you try those. You can come and ask questions tomorrow and I'll help you out with those. In the last one, each pair of points lies on a line with a given slope. Find x, r, y. So if we look inside here, we see we have a y. We don't know what y is. So if we write down the formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 is over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, we're going to use this, equals the slope. We know that equals the slope. That's our formula for it. So if we set this up, we're going to put the x in the denominator, our 4 in the numerator, subtract 3 and y, and then we have this slope here. So there's m for our slope equals 1/4. And we can see 7 minus 3 equals 4. 4 minus something equals 1. And we know our answer is 3.